Hi, everybody, and welcome. For those of you who do not know me, I am Sonia. I am the co-founder of Divorcify. I am a divorce attorney, and I am also a divorce survivor. One of the missions of the Divorcify platform is really to bring the right team of professionals to help people through the divorce process. And the reason is simple. Divorce is much more than a legal problem. So today we are honored to have Catherine here from Calamita Wealth Management. And Catherine is not only going to share her own personal story, but she's also going to tell us how important setting herself up with the right team was for her to get through her divorce process. This has led to Calamita Wealth Management really taking the financial piece of divorce and the emotional piece in order to help women through the divorce process. So thank you for joining us this evening. Catherine, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Sonia, and the team at Divorcify for having us here tonight. And more so, thank you for existing, because meeting you has been a total inspiration, and we appreciate you very, very much and what you're all doing. So, hello, everybody. I'm so glad you could all be here tonight. Welcome to my living room. I know you're letting me into yours too, so thank you. And welcome to Navigating the Emotional and Financial Fears for Women in Divorce. To set the scene tonight, I want this to be a comfortable living room type experience where we can all be ourselves and connect with each other. Please know this is a safe place of learning and growing, and you're part of a community. Also, those of you who may know me, I am not a woman of few words. I'm a horrendous overpacker as well when I travel, so I can own that. So I consciously am going to try my very best tonight to use my words wisely and be succinct in the 1 hour time frame we have together. I want to communicate the deep sense of responsibility I feel to be able to give you some vital information, perspective, and connection in the pieces I critically want to share with you. So moving forward, we're actually good on this area right here. You can see what I kind of just went through. Want you to be comfortable. I'm thinking there will be some moments that will resonate between many of us in shared experience going through divorce, women, a lot of us. So if you are having the identify and relate moment, that yes, girl, I feel you kind of moment, then let's get snapping. I know a lot of us aren't audible, but I want to know we're all here together. So nice one. Also, pen paper. If you are anything like me, when I hear something that resonates with me, I cannot concentrate until I lay that on paper. Tonight, I would like you to write down any parts that make your ears perk up or speak to you. And I will be asking some questions that are significant to reflect upon for yourself in our future conversations. This hopefully will be the first of many opportunities we get to speak with each other. And even though this is informative tonight, we will have more interactive events. So write down on that paper. At the end of the webinar tonight, I will share my direct calendar with you so we can have a one-on-one call. We can go through anything on your paper and see what came up for you then. Finally, remember to breathe. I'm going to take one right now. If you want to take one with me, it feels good. I nearly had to write it on my hand to remember to breathe during my divorce. So breathe deep, be present. Also, laugh, smile. If we don't phase it either way, we don't need it, right? So cry if you want to, just be here. I'm so glad you're with us. So, and one last part, the congratulations, because you made it here. Sometimes just showing up in life takes the most effort. Am I right? Am I right? All right, so moving forward, I want to show you something. So look what I made for you. I call it the survival kit for women in divorce. So I'm a visual person, and this is one of those pieces that I wished I had had when going through my divorce, especially in those dark days when I could barely put one foot in front of the other. This one-page file we are going to send to you as a little gift. I created this survival kit to help you with the simple steps, such as you'll see here. There's prioritizing self-care, nourishing your soul, building that professional team, which we're going to talk a lot about, and directional questions to ask yourself on the daily, because you really got to check in with yourself. I wish my future self had this because my past self really needed it, or however that works. My future self would have created it for my past self. So hopefully you can think of this as a guide at a glance reference to remind you of our discussion tonight, and remember that you are going to be okay. Moving to the next slide, I would like to tell you who we are and why we are here. I want to introduce you to my team at Calamita Wealth Management. Maybe you can see some of them. Todd, Britt, and Lacey. Say hi. Hi, guys. Thanks for being here. These are the people who have my back and made this event possible. This group of individuals changed the way I look at the world of finance and my place in it as a woman and a professional. And oh my stars, do I wish I knew they existed about 12 years ago when I was literally stumbling through my own divorce process. Obviously, I think the best, so thanks, y'all. So you may be asking yourself why wealth managers are putting on this event concerning emotions and fears. The reason is simple. We understand there is a big emotional component to money. It is not just math, although we're really good at that too. But we do understand that money can work for you or against an individual in their lives. And we carry the emotional burden so you can know your options more clearly. Just think about that. I could talk endlessly about my team and what we do. However, I want tonight to be about you. So I'm going to move forward onto our next slide where we can look at our topics for tonight. All right, so let me get down to it here. The real deal of what I really want you to know is broken down into these 5 main topics. 1, know your story. It's the only place to start, especially in transitions such as divorce. Grief and loss and how it relates to your divorce. Yes, you are grieving a profound loss that you may or may not be able to make sense of right now. There is a process, if you weren't aware of that. Your emotions are validated if you needed to hear that, and you are not alone. 3, need for a team. Gotta have it. Divorce is a lot. I don't think we were designed to do it by ourselves, or even this human experience. In some ways, you got to have your team, and you need the right support, guidance, and a game plan. You do not have to go through this alone, nor should you. You are not the octopus with 8 arms and 1 head like you think you might be. 4, transformation through direction, because there is somewhere else to go. Divorce does not have to define who you are. However, it can be a catalyst to be your defining moment. There's a difference. With the proper mindset, I believe you can wake up to your hero's journey. And we have created here at Calamita Wealth Management, love my team, we have created some pretty unique tools to help you see where you are and where you want to go. Claiming your direction can be a most transformative experience. And doing the next right thing, because sometimes it is just that simple, no matter how big it all might seem. Because remember, have you heard? How do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. That's right. All right, that's really it. These are the main areas I found to break out of the fear zone and navigate through the emotional and financial pieces of divorce. So with that being said, this slide that we're on right now is the hero, well, the heroines in our case, the hero's journey. And I would like this to be a framework for all the topics we just talked about tonight in our experience, to kind of keep that in mind. So has anyone ever heard of the hero's journey? Got any snaps over there? All right. I am sharing this with you because I believe it is a story we all have in common at some point or another. In a nutshell, the hero's journey was a story pattern identified by Joseph Campbell. Think Star Wars, The Matrix, Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. The hero of the story follows an ordinary, unassuming person who goes outside of their comfort zone, achieves great deeds that can benefit not only herself, but many others as well. Please notice the main stages here. So if you follow along, there's a start at the top, there's a call to an adventure, there's meeting a mentor, crossing over the threshold from the known to the unknown worlds, and the trials, failures, and growths that occur here with support and guidance. There's a transformation which comes from a kind of, there at the bottom it says transformation, but really at the bottom there's kind of an abyss or a death kind of experience, kind of like that Technicolor moment in The Wizard of Oz, for example. So that moment beckons us into revelation, changes, atonement, until finally we rise from the depths of this unknown place with greater gifts, new insights, having knowledge earned from both of these known and unknown worlds. So the important pattern I want you to grasp here is how this diagram mimics the trials and tribulations of our own lives, or it can. It certainly did for me, and only when I noticed this framework and felt the personal connection to it did I put a kind of purpose to the pain I was experiencing in my divorce. It took me out of the why me place that I heard myself asking and saying. That victimhood didn't feel quite right, didn't feel like me, but I was there. And it gave birth. When I saw this, it gave birth to the Phoenix Rising, who empowered, who was, there on it, empowered in a different way. Took a little bit of time, but truthfully turned me into a little bit of a badass, in a good way. And we all have that inner badass. If this framework speaks to you, then there is a definite choice there. You can either access your inner firebird and choose to follow the call of the hero's journey and grow as a person, or I suppose you could choose to ignore the call and stay in hell, which, Winston Churchill, what he says about hell, if you're going through hell, keep going. So keep this framework in mind. Also, all right, so this whole badass lady hero thing seems awesome, right? Well, it did when I was getting the chills watching Wonder Woman and wanted to be her. However, until you are walking through it and find yourself there, like maybe now going through your divorce in your own abyss, you just didn't realize it was going to hurt so darn bad like this led. Yeah, whew. I can still feel that, and my divorce was 12 years ago. But these things are going to happen in life, right? And this is just part of how we remember, how we go through it, because we're stronger than we think we are. So you're feeling this image, right? Not in a good way, maybe, but you're feeling it. Yeah. I remember distinctly waking up one morning and thinking, I must be having a nightmare. Then realizing it was all real, and I just sunk. Oof, I feel that. What happened to my story? How did I get here? For me, I found myself here in this place, sometime between finding a hefty bag full of unopened bills in the hallway closet, like a corpse, and the moments that followed leading up to our divorce. As if in the blink of an eye, it all turned upside down. The dream was dead and the nightmare was living. But it wasn't always like this, right? We were probably much like you. We had a beautiful home, good careers, a darling baby daughter, and a new home in construction. Until one day, the ups and downs of life did not bounce back. I no longer knew my best friend, the person I was married to. He was suddenly a stranger to me. I was on my own. All the credit cards were in my name, the credit I earned very well up until that point, and we were financially buried. With that garbage bag full of unpaid bills came a mountain of problems, both personal and public. The humble new home was $4,000 over budget and had the elevator. That was new. We hadn't seen a paycheck in months. I didn't know any of this. I blamed myself for not knowing. I was at home with a newborn. We all have things that keep us from being completely present. My husband, he thought he was saving me from worry, while really our ship was sinking. And by the time I found out, it was all too late. We lost our home. I lost my marriage and my best friend. It was a loss like I had never experienced before. It was like something magical had died. It was, for the first time, I understood the death of a dream. Like a freaking unicorn. It was unreal. It was painful. I was horrified and had never felt so alone. That was my best. Thanks for letting me share that with you. Okay, so we can close the curtain here, right? No, not so much. You can turn the page. If it's not happy, it's not over. I just saw that in a fortune cookie this week, and I really liked it. From this place of death, I heard this faint voice inside of me say, What can you take with you that is yours here in this unknown place where nothing seems familiar? What can you create? And friends, that is a question for the pen and paper. What can you create? What can you take from where you are that is yours? Undoubtedly, that's a game changer. So it brings me here to this slide. We must be willing to get rid of the life we've planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us. Joseph Campbell, again, with the hero's journey. And you can see the cycle here with the butterflies. It repeats in nature, just like it repeats for us. Know your story. Topic number 1. The importance of knowing your story is, like I said, not only a great place to start, I think it's the only place to start. It is our window into seeing where we are and where we have been. It allows us to be our authentic selves and intentionally decide what is ours to claim as truly our own in great and vulnerable honesty. Got to be honest here. Knowing your story can empower you to decide what is next for you. I hope you can see, even in my story example, that the emotions are commingled with the finances, always. Money is emotional. Our story, failure financially, came with layers of hidden shame for us. I didn't even know what it was at first. It was layers of hidden shame. If we had a financial advisor with real oversight and guidance, emotionally and financially, I can honestly say it may have saved us from our demise. There wasn't Divorcify around then. I didn't even know what wealth managers did. I know now, and that's why I'm here. Part of why I'm here. But we didn't know that, and we didn't know what we didn't have when we were in our marriage. A coordinated plan with a team that had our back. We failed ourselves here in our marriage, but we also failed ourselves and didn't do much better in our divorce. $20,000 each later. Do you know when lawyers are thinking about you, sometimes they can charge you. So you got to go in with a plan. You have to have a team. I want to tell you straight out, because no one knew to tell me, that you need this team. You need financial advisor. You need people like Divorcify. If not in your marriage, definitely in your divorce. Know your story, it's very important. So I want to briefly show you another part of my story here. In the big picture, divorce does not have to define us, but it can be the opportunity to have that defining moment. So I was raised a ski racer since before I can even remember. I know I got some skiers out there. I see you. All right. Skiing taught me many things, one of which allowed me to see the big picture, even when I was narrowly between two racing gates at a time. That is where you are in your divorce. So I want you to know that even though you may feel like you are seeing your entire world crumble, actually you're just between two places within a larger picture. Grief can make our whole world shrink in the most awful way. This brings me to the next slide. Grief and loss and how it relates to your divorce. So did you know that divorce is number 2 on the trauma list? That's high up there. It's trumped only by death, holding its rightful place at number 1. So when I was divorcing, I did feel like death without a burial. I didn't know if I was more mad or sad or in shock or relief, or if any of these emotions had real validity. I was going through a roller coaster of exhausting emotions. Even though my ex was still alive, something had died. It took me a while to figure out it was, we that died, and there was nothing to bury. It was only when I became familiar with the stages of grief that all this made sense to me. So let me show you the next slide. So basically, there are 5 to 7 main stages to the grief and loss process. Basically, shock, denial, anger and blaming, bargaining, acceptance, and rebuilding. So this diagram here, this shows multiple stages, and you'll find a variety of them, if you explore it on the internet. When I understood the big picture of grief, I was able to work through it much better. And I also knew I was not alone in doing so. This helped my state of shock because I began to understand I was not broken or going crazy with all of these emotions. It was whiplash, you know? So it really helped. I was hurt and confused and in an unknown place that I did not want to be, but I was not alone and I was not as dead as I felt. Somehow I could breathe here. And that is really why I wanted to share this piece with you tonight on your journey. This was a key element in navigating through my own divorce, and I hope it can be that for you too. That being said, enjoy those moments of oxygen because grief is messy, as I will show you in our next slide. So if your grief experience was anything like mine, it may look more like this. I can laugh now, honestly, but I wasn't laughing then. So take those moments. Like I said, if you frown, you're just gonna have a frowny face for your whole life in the future. So take those moments when you can. You got stuff to smile about. So grief did not fit into these orderly little boxes I had hoped for. Do we have any mothers here tonight? All right, all right. Well, to me, these waves of grief best equate to childbirth. So you know around month 9, when you get to that acceptance place where you're so excited to hold your baby, but then it hits you. You are definitely going to have to be the one to have labor and give birth so you can hold that baby. It definitely was going to be you, and there's just no way around it. In many ways, this divorce experience we're having is no different. Only here at the end of your labor, you're going to birth a brand new you. And even though this process is uniquely and absolutely yours to go through, you can build your support team to go through it with you. Speaking from my Calamita Wealth Management team, we cannot make going through your divorce painless. However, we can be there with you every step of the way, especially during those contractions, emotional and financial. But sometimes, like in this next slide, denial might be a tempting place to stop off in between these contractions. So this is a riot, right? I just had to laugh when I saw this. I've been there. Have you been there? I was totally there a time or two. Before I was aware of the stages of grief, I got off at this exit a time or two. And let me tell you, the ice cream is awesome and it comes in full gallons. The beds are warm and cozy and you can sleep all day. The restaurants have no dress codes and you can be in your PJs. It's totally cool. And the Chardonnay flows like water. But there's one catch though. You really can't live here. You can't live in denial. It might be fun to visit. You might need it for a moment. But after a while, when you're in denial, you find yourself circling right back on the road where you left off. Lesson here, keep moving through. And that brings me to our third topic tonight, the need for a team. Love that, those fierce lionesses. Surround yourself with those on the same mission as you. When I look back now, I got through my divorce kind of like getting through a game of dodgeball. I did not have a plan or a professional team other than my divorce attorney. And I was really glad that I had him. Often I felt either overfueled or underserved by my emotions and just couldn't think straight. I had an all or nothing mentality with periodic rushes of fight or flight adrenaline. I had no idea what a panic attack even was until I was going through my divorce. They're totally gross, right? If any of you have had them, ugh. Some days I just wanted it to be over. Other days I wondered how I would financially survive on my own. Fighting like a cat in the river, trying to get onto a branch or something with the fear of impending doom. I just was afraid was downstream. So ask yourself here, do you have someone providing oversight and guidance for you? Someone addressing and asking the questions you may not even know to ask for yourself? Do you have a coordinated plan to generate income after your divorce? Feel free to put these on paper. We can talk about them even if you don't. How do you know you're going to be okay? I mean, you are and you will be okay, but I want to know that you can be sure, because I wasn't. I was on a hope and a prayer often, and it didn't work out. But I am okay, and so will you be. Having a team and creating a plan is really what makes sense. And it makes these fears approachable and manageable instead of waking you up at 2 a.m. We are here to coordinate that team for you. On this next slide, I want to show you some professionals to consider to build your unique team for your divorce. So did you even know that all these people existed? I sure didn't when I was going through my divorce. I mean, or if I knew they existed, I didn't know why I needed them going through my divorce. So here, I just want to take a glance down quickly with you. So there's a financial advisor. That's what we are. We're like, you can think of us like the quarterback that oversees and coordinates this team for you. There's a certified divorce financial analyst, CDFA. They really know the ins and outs. They're kind of the segue in between the divorce attorney and the financial advisor. Little different certification there. Divorce strategist, which Divorcify is, paving that way. Love it. Divorce collaborative attorney, mediator, realtor, estate attorney, mortgage specialist, mental health specialist, CPA, divorce coach. So like I said, for a brief time together, I just want you to know these professionals exist and are 100% relative to you and what you're going through in your divorce. However, I cannot stress enough how a well thought out collaborative team will help you lean into those turns with support and oversight so you can stay on course. So let me share a little story for you just to kind of drive this point home. So let's call, we had a client, let's call this particular client Cassie for anonymity. Cassie was a woman going through the shock of an unexpected divorce. They had a small baby and what looked like a happy future together. In the blink of an eye, nothing was quite as it seemed in their marriage. It was over, and she was now divorcing someone that she realized she didn't even know, even 10 years into their relationship. Some of you might feel that way. Fortunately, Cassie had a supportive and close family. She also had us at Calamita Wealth Management for some time already. She set herself up right away with a counselor, a divorce coach, divorce attorney. Excuse me. A bit later, she also started seeing a chiropractor and prioritized her self-care because divorce can kick the snot out of you and your nervous system. If you didn't know that, you are absolutely allowed to take some time for yourself and prioritize some extra self-care. Cassie and I spoke frequently. We were able to coordinate with her and where she was in her process, emotionally and financially. From that place, we could see what her next steps were going to be from those places. So it was really important for us to keep in touch. She had a strong professional team and a close family, as I said. However, there were still emotions that sometimes you're too close to talk to your family about. And that's kind of where the divorce coach comes in, or the mental health specialist, a coach, a therapist, no shame in that game. There were also financial questions that her family, not her divorce attorney, were unable to clarify. As much as our families try to help, sometimes they don't know, what the experts know. Fortunately, Cassie had us previously, and we were able to oversee and identify any places that she needed more. So we looked at this list and we helped her kind of form her team. And we stayed with her play by play. So today, a little over a year later, Cassie is bigger and better and brighter than ever. She really did create a whole new her. I mean, when it was dark, it was really dark. And I can't believe how quickly she just, stayed with it. She felt all the emotions that you have to feel and go through. But I think it really was a big, solid team that made a difference for her. And like I said, one that I didn't know 12 years ago when I was going through my divorce. She looked her struggles and her fears in the face, both financially and emotionally. And she came out on the other side of her divorce, happy and truly healthy. My heart sang when Cassie told me a couple months ago that she could not have done it without us. Celebrated her year being divorced. And that's why I'm here. So Cassie accepted the challenge of her hero's journey and did not refuse the invitation to become even better through it. So this is for you, Cassie, if you're there, Cassie. Moving onward and upward to our next slide. Topic number 4.
So Catherine, before we move on,
Yes.
we do have a question from the audience.
Yes.
Denise,
Fantastic.
how do I know if my client needs a wealth manager on their team? Is it based on how much assets they have, or what's it based on?
You know, I would say I'm always a big fan of call us and let's have that conversation, because there are certain components, certain wealth advisors work with different levels of finances and what qualifies, but there is a fit for everyone. When I hear that question, it kind of makes me think, how would I say to you, you know, if somebody was going through something really difficult health wise, and they asked, you know, how do I know if it's time to go see a doctor? I think if there's any question that brings that point up, make that call.
Well, it's really
It never hurts to
really
check.
dealing with clients who think that, well, if I'm in debt and I don't have any property, if I didn't have a wealth manager before the divorce, do I need one? That's what I mean. I mean, so I just
Mhm.
never know what to tell them, but I can follow up with that.
You know what, girl? That was me. That was me. And like I said, I think it may have saved us if I would have had some of that knowledge before. I thought I had a plan, but really what I had was some cowboy courage and a lot of trust that the next step was just going to magically appear in front of me,
Right.
until I met this group of people here tonight. So I'm really glad you're asking that question. Until I met this group of people here tonight, I didn't know the importance. And I think there is someone for everyone, no matter if you have, you know, a couple million, or if you're, you know, freshly married and working your way up, or, you know, out of college. We just had one of our clients' sons come and meet with his mom and Todd, and, you know, kind of get the breakdown of what to anticipate in the future. So I hope I answered that question for you.
Well, you did. I'm seeing someone else made a comment, but that is I'm a mediator, but I struggle. I mean,
Nice.
I struggle with that all the time. You know,
Mm.
I just never knew
That.
what the answer
Oh,
was.
no, and sometimes you don't know until you know. So really, I mean, even pick up the phone and call me. We can talk about every individual situation. And if it's not right for me, it might be right for someone else who I collaborate with. I mean, we're in a nice collaborative team. We are not a group of selfish people. And we really, that's the reason I got into this industry, because I didn't know that there was this other side. You know, they, wealth managers kind of get a bad name, I guess, or did.
Yeah.
And there are some big hearts, just like attorneys. I mean, look at Sonia. My goodness, you know, like, yeah, just with the label. If you feel like something's coming up, yeah,
Well, let me just
my
say,
number is going to be here.
let me just say this. I would like to pull your information in, because I've added a credit counselor and someone who helps with insurance, and those are financial issues. But this is just something
Yes.
I'm clarification on. But I can follow up further.
Yeah, help me add to that list. And by the way, thank you, mediator, because you helped me more in my divorce. You know, your profession really was big for me.
I accept your thanks on behalf.
Right on.
We have
Thank
a
you
few
for asking.
more comments, and Denise, thank you for that. From Donna Cates, she believes that everyone needs to be in a financial planning relationship so they have a strategy to get out of debt and build their wealth. I'm sure that gets a few snaps from you, right, Catherine?
Yeah.
And then an additional comment from Sarah Carr. So rebuilding after debt is a big component, and wealth advisors and financial planners help with that. Sometimes there are retirement assets to consider as well.
Absolutely, Sarah. Yeah. I mean, Sarah Carr is one of my favorite people. and honestly, you know, that survival kit and divorce, we want to create a workbook around that, because of, I mean, it's just like a little peek into each one of those boxes have so much more information that we want to share with you. So yeah, again, adding it to the list, and the number of reasons why we need this kind of a team. Was there a question in that though that I missed? I wanted to make sure.
No, there wasn't.
Oh, good.
Those were comments.
Fantastic. Yeah, keep them coming. So let me continue, Sonia. Let me know when any of those questions or comments come up, and I appreciate you looking at that chat box for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. I'm going to move on here a little bit and get into number 4, transformation through direction. So great things never came from your comfort zones. Your comfort zone is not where the magic happens. In fact, discomfort more so is the signal that change is needed. Kind of makes those uncomfortable times feel okay when you know that. You're not broken. Something just needs to change. Like when you're in debt, right? That's uncomfortable. Something needs to change. So when you're ready to move onward and upward, like I said, some of those questions that you'll hear that little voice inside say are, what can I create next for myself? Those are the transformative voices. What are the fears I need to look at in the eye financially and emotionally? Because those fears are trying to tell you something. What is in my way to get where I want to be next? Because just because there's a rock in the road doesn't mean you can't go down there. You just have to look at the rock and remove it. Most likely. Sometimes you do have to take a different path, but you know what I mean. So, so remember I mentioned earlier that we pioneered some pretty cool tools to help our clients move successfully through life, both financially and emotionally. And this is one of those things. So right here on the screen, we have what we call the compass, the directional summary wheel, kind of playing with names, but this piece I am pretty excited about and we're all pretty proud of because we didn't know what it was going to do until we started using it. So originally I created this visual literally to help myself because I couldn't understand this linear document and how it all worked together. So when I made this and I shared it with my team, they really liked it, which gave us the idea to begin using it as a tool with our clients and friends. And honestly, when I first made this, everybody who walked in my door, I would make them do this with me because I just thought it was the neatest thing ever. The kind of places that it gets you to. Good questions bring good answers. Sometimes you got to think on them for a bit too. But like I said, honest and vulnerable, good places. Being a visual piece, you can clearly see how these 3 components of restoring order, financial peace, and realizing lifestyle objective, where they are here and how they all relate to each other, and they have to exist in the big picture. These parts interact and commingle with each other to create a whole life that can be quite transformative. We have found that going through this wheel can do a kind of decrypting thing with our clients and how they see their lives and finances as a whole. So let me use an example here just to give you an idea of how this little wheel plays out. So let's call her Susie. Susie comes to me and she says, I've been feeling overwhelmed in my new role as a single mom. While still trying to maintain steady work hours, I'm in the middle of a divorce. I'm overwhelmed. Her concentration is failing. She is in constant fight or flight to keep up with her day. From here, we may look at lifestyle objectives down below. What would you like your life to be able to do is one of the areas. I know this one's hard to read for you guys, but that's one of the questions down there. So together we can brainstorm some ideas. Most of the things come from within yourself, so just talking them out loud. And Susie decides that she would like to be able to extend her daycare by 1 hour, 3 days a week, and have a more relaxed schedule to be able to be with her daughter in the alternating days, a little bit more than the other days. So we can then look at Susie's cash flow and see how we make this happen. Maybe we tweak the spending plan a little bit. Maybe there's a cable bill that she doesn't really want anymore. Just different things like that. But they all work together. So as Mr. Rogers said, when it's human, it's mentionable. And when it's mentionable, it's manageable. Love that. And that kind of highlights a big part of what I think is really great about this wheel is how often do we get the chance to really take the time to stop and ask ourselves these kinds of honest questions, especially in a place we can be heard and real changes can be made. We often do not allow ourselves permission to take this kind of time that's introspective. And maybe when we do with our families or besties, We do not always remember what the aha moments of our conversations actually were. When all is said and done, what were the pearls, you know? So in this way, you go through this with your advisor, and we kind of capture those pearls of what are coming up for you, and we create some next steps and a plan. Helping you get clear on where you are and where you want to be is transformation through direction. So in these next few slides, I have broken up the pieces of this compass so you can see a little bit better. So here we have, so you know, the piece of the pie here is going to be restoring order. What would give you a greater sense of control? Well, here's a place we could spend some time, right? Especially being a woman going in divorce. Oh my goodness, there are many new areas of overwhelm that we may be able to identify as out of order. This area gives us permission to take, again, an honest and vulnerable look at ourselves and our lives and what is not working. I like the term reveal to heal. So to give you an idea of the questions, what they might sound like here, you know, you can see them on the screen, but they might sound to us, you know, when we're going through transition and especially divorce. Where will I live now? How will I juggle the children with work on my own? Will I have enough money, enough time? Will I be okay? Right? Kind of feeling some of those questions, but you'll have a lot of your own. So write them down. Write them down. Asking ourselves these questions and speaking them out loud to someone who can help us is an important part of this process. Take the devil out of the dark. I love that saying. It's something my mom used to say. And because really fear, false evidence appearing real, is often what fear is. And it has no power when exposed to the light. So this helps us take the devil out of the dark. So next we will move into the area, the piece of pie here of financial peace. So to take a deeper look here, there are 4 main quadrants that you can see here that we've identified. So cash flow management, investment positioning, tax planning, and estate preservation. Having a coordinated plan between these 4 areas is vital, and it's what we do best. So now you may be proficient in the knowledge of these areas, or you may feel like a deer in the headlights, as I did when I first started learning this language. Nevertheless, it is a language and you can learn it. If you hear that little voice inside of yourself saying, or even out loud, my husband just always took care of that. You know, that's kind of a common anthem. And that's okay, maybe he did, but it doesn't mean that you can't start to learn about it. Thoughts like this may disempower you, and I don't want that to happen. They can throw us blindly into the mindset of, I just want to get through this divorce. You know, I don't know what these are. I don't want to look at them. They're scary, but that's why you don't have to do it alone. Get the rhythm? You have a team. And although getting through your divorce is the goal, please remember how you get through your divorce is just as important. So as financial managers, we are not experts in the legal matters of your divorce, like Sonia and our Divorcify friends. And the same way, your attorneys cannot be expected to be the experts in some of these, you know, financial components. This area is our expertise and really what we do best. So questions for you here, what they might sound like going through divorce. Do I have a spending plan, and what does that look like in my new life? Could there be debts that I am not aware of that I am responsible for? Got to check your credit score. There could be some drags there. Do I want a portion of my ex's investments? It might sound good, but do I know the risks as well as the rewards of these investments? Are there tax consequences related to these investments for me to weigh? Who will claim the children as dependents? Because that's a tax benefit there. You have to know these negotiation cards. You have to even know that they're on the table. A big one, do I want the house? Even though it might not be financially wise for me now, do I really want it? It's a big question to ask yourself. Do I really want it, or am I holding on to it because I just don't want to feel like I'm having something else being taken away from me? Because remember, there is transformation. There's more. That doesn't have to die. Who would have known money could be so darn emotional, right? but you get the idea here. So making these areas work for you in a coordinated way is what gives my team passion and purpose. Seeing you thrive and, feeling that spark, seeing how you learn when these things come together, that's what makes it worthwhile. So moving into our next slide, let's go to realizing life's objectives, because it is my absolute favorite. So what gives you your highest quality of life? That is the basic question here. And there's tangible goals, conceptual goals, freedom goals. This is the place where we, play with dream building. We can make vision boards. We play with the, what would I do if money were not an object game? That's really freeing. Just to know, where your boundaries are and what you really might want that you've been shielding yourself from. Just play the what if game. Don't use your credit card, but play the what if game. And it really does help get back in touch with the real questions of what is important to us and why, and put those answers in a place that can function for us as high grade fuel. Transformation. This is where we as financial advisors can really put the wheels on the bus for you, by having these conversations and finding what is possible. It's fun to dream, but if you have somebody that can help you make those dreams come alive and, like it says here, realize lifestyle objectives, what a difference, right? So I think it was Donna, like you said there, who needs this kind of help? I when you look at a wheel like this, I can't think of a person who doesn't. So it's really fun. It helps you find out what's really important to you, and then you get intentional and conscious about your savings and your money and what those things are. This is a creative place that pulls you forward. It pulls you in, something you can look forward to creating, because real happiness in life is having something to look forward to, away from the push that was yesterday that seemed to steal all of your dreams away. This is a different place. So the questions here may sound like, what do I need and want in my life that sincerely brings me joy? What would my ideal day look like? What would that schedule look like if you could make up your ideal day? Good things to write on paper. Where do I want to be in my life and accomplishments 1 year from now? How much money do I need to accomplish this? What would you like to be able to have, be, and do? So this brings me to our final topic for the evening, number 5. Doing the next right thing. Doing the next right thing. Just one step in front of the other. We explored quite a lot on our journey tonight. No matter how vast that road may seem to you right now, doing the next right thing can be simple, and it is always uniquely personal to you. We know that. So in this case tonight, the next right thing is to get on my calendar and schedule that one-on-one call with me. That's it. That's where we go from here. And then we can have that conversation. You can share your story with me, what's coming up for you in your navigation process. What are the emotional and financial fears in your divorce? Because we're kind of unearthing things here as we're exploring and talking together. And what emotional burdens of your finances can we carry for you? We walk, I love this saying, we walk into the unknown with you to see what is possible. Todd Calamita said that. Love that. Snaps for Todd. So let's have that conversation. So on this next slide, you will find our website, my email address. And I don't know if that's still connected. There is a next slide. There we go. Thanks, Britton. And my Calendly. So there's the email address, our website, and my Calendly, I think, is on the next page. You can click on it's in the chat box, I think, as well. As promised, I will be emailing you this one-page survival kit for women in divorce that I created for you with your emotional and financial journey specifically in mind. Whether you wish to print it out, I like to hold things. You can stick it to your bathroom mirror or refrigerator, or refer to it as a screensaver for a while. However you choose, it will be yours to remember that you are walking through this. You're walking through it. And there is another side to another you that's calling for you. So when we speak, we can go through this kit and we can also customize it for what it means to you. In closing, just here, I think on this next slide, I want to leave you with an image. Yes. Love that Wonder Woman. So in closing, let me leave you with this, if nothing else. Say yes to the invitation to your journey. Do not let the fear override your strength to accept your place in this hero's journey. Together, we can help you do that. So thanks for joining me tonight. Thank yourself for showing up. And that's pretty much it. Also, I want to thank my team at Calamita Wealth Management for all their help, support, and guidance in making this evening possible. And Sonia and the women at Diversify, you are a cutting edge source beyond measure for women in divorce. So just so proud to be here with you.